Hello everyone, and welcome to History of the Ancient World. Today, we're journeying back in time to the very dawn of Western literature to explore the life and legacy of a figure shrouded in mystery, Homer. Who was this legendary poet? Did he even exist? And how did his epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey, come to shape the course of history? Let's start with the big question. Who was Homer? The honest answer is we don't really know for sure. Ancient tradition paints a picture of a blind poet, an oidos or traveling bard, wandering through the Greek city-states somewhere around the 8th century BCE. Cities like Smyrna and Chios even claim to be his birthplace. But there's no solid historical evidence, no contemporary record of his life. This has led to what's known as the Homeric question, a debate that has raged for centuries. Was Homer a single genius who composed both epics? Or were these stories the product of a long oral tradition, woven together by many poets over generations? Think about it. Before widespread writing, stories were memories. Bards were the living libraries of their culture, memorizing and performing vast tales of gods and heroes, often accompanied by a stringed instrument called a lyre. These weren't just bedtime stories, they were history, religion and entertainment, all rolled into one. The Iliad and the Odyssey are filled with repetitive phrases like swift-footed Achilles or rosy-fingered Dawn. These formulas, known as epic epithets, weren't just for poetic flair. They were mnemonic devices, helping the bard remember the next line in a performance that could last for days. So it's entirely possible that Homer was less a single author and more a name attached to the culmination of this incredible oral tradition. Now let's dive into the epics themselves. Starting with the Iliad. The title comes from Ilion, another name for the city of Troy. But here's a surprise, the Iliad doesn't cover the entire Trojan War. It doesn't even mention the Trojan horse. Instead, it focuses on a very specific, intense period in the 10th and final year of the war, the rage of Achilles. The story kicks off when Agamemnon, the leader of the Greek forces, takes Achilles' war prize, a woman named Briseis. Insulted and furious, Achilles, the greatest warrior of the Greeks, withdraws from the battle. What follows is a brutal and visceral depiction of war. Homer doesn't glorify it. He shows us the cost, the grief, and the humanity on both sides. We see the Trojan hero Hector, a devoted family man, saying a heartbreaking goodbye to his wife and child before going out to defend his city. We feel the desperation of the Greeks as the Trojans, led by Hector, push them back to their ships. The gods themselves get involved, squabbling and taking sides like players in a cosmic chess game. Zeus, Hera, Apollo, Athena, they all have their favorites, and their interventions make the conflict even more chaotic. The turning point comes with a profound tragedy. Achilles' best friend, Patroclus, borrows his armor to rally the Greek troops. He succeeds, but his success costs him his life at the hands of Hector. When Achilles learns of Patroclus' death, his rage transforms into a terrible, all-consuming grief and a thirst for vengeance. He returns to the battlefield, a force of nature, unstoppable and terrifying. The climax of the Iliad is the epic duel between Achilles and Hector outside the walls of Troy. It's a clash of titans, but the outcome is inevitable. Achilles kills Hector, and in his rage desecrates his body, dragging it behind his chariot. But the story doesn't end there. In one of the most moving scenes in all of literature, Hector's father, King Priam, risks everything to sneak into the Greek camp at night. He humbles himself before Achilles, the man who killed his son, and begs for the body back so he can give him a proper burial. Seeing the old king, Achilles is reminded of his own aging father. His rage finally subsides, replaced by a shared sense of loss and humanity. He agrees, and the epic ends not with the fall of Troy, but with the funeral of Hector, breaker of horses. The Iliad is a powerful meditation on rage, glory, and the shared mortality of all human beings. If the Iliad is a story of war, the Odyssey is a story of the journey home. It follows one of the Greek heroes, Odysseus, king of Ithaca, as he tries to return to his wife Penelope and his son Telemachus after the Trojan War. But this is no simple sea voyage. His journey takes 10 long years, and it's an adventure filled with monsters, witches, and angry gods. Odysseus is the ultimate survivor. He's not just strong, he's cunning, resourceful, and a master of disguise and deception. His defining trait is his metis, a Greek word for cunning intelligence. His adventures are the stuff of legend. He outsmarts the one-eyed Cyclops Polyphemus, blinding him to escape his cave. He resists the enchanting song of the sirens by having his crew tie him to the mast. He navigates the treacherous strait between Scylla, a six-headed sea monster, and Charybdis, a giant whirlpool. He spends a year as the lover of the witch goddess Circe, and even travels to the underworld to consult the ghost of the prophet Tiresias. Through all these trials, his one desire is to get back home. Meanwhile, back in Ithaca, things are dire. A mob of arrogant suitors has overrun his palace. Believing Odysseus is dead, they are all trying to marry Penelope and claim his kingdom, feasting on his food and wine and plotting to kill his son, Telemachus. Penelope, who is just as clever as her husband, holds them off. She promises to choose a suitor once she finishes weaving a burial shroud for Odysseus' father. But every night, she secretly unravels what she wove during the day, a brilliant delaying tactic. Telemachus, coming of age, sets out on his own journey to find news of his father, a quest that helps him grow from a boy into a man. Finally, after 20 years away, Odysseus arrives back in Ithaca, but he comes in disguise as an old beggar. This allows him to see the true state of his home and test the loyalty of his servants and family. The reunion scenes are incredibly powerful, especially when his old dog, Argos, recognizes him right before dying, and his old nurse, Eurycleia, identifies him by a scar on his leg while washing his feet. The climax is a spectacular showdown. Penelope announces a contest. She will marry whoever can string Odysseus' great bow and shoot an arrow through 12 axe heads. One by one, the suitors try and fail. They can't even bend the bow. Then, the disguised Odysseus asks for a turn. The suitors mock him, but he effortlessly strings the bow and makes the impossible shot. In that moment, he reveals himself. With the help of Telemachus and a few loyal servants, he slaughters every last one of the suitors in a breathtakingly brutal scene of vengeance. The Odyssey concludes with Odysseus restoring order to his kingdom and finally reuniting with his clever, faithful wife, Penelope. It's a timeless tale of perseverance, loyalty, and the deep human yearning for home. So why are these two poems, and nearly 3,000 years old, still so important? For the ancient Greeks, Homer was their primary textbook. His epics taught them about their gods, their history, and their values. Concepts like kleos, which means glory or renown, and xenia, the sacred duty of hospitality, were central to their worldview, and they learned them from Homer. Greek heroes like Achilles and Odysseus became the ultimate role models, shaping their ideas of courage, honor, and intelligence. The influence didn't stop there. The Romans fell in love with Greek culture and absorbed Homer into their own. The Roman poet Virgil wrote his own national epic, the Aeneid, which is heavily inspired by both the Iliad and the Odyssey. It tells the story of Aeneas, a Trojan survivor who journeys to Italy to become the ancestor of the Romans. Through the Roman Empire, Homer's stories spread across Europe. During the Renaissance, the rediscovery of Greek texts, including Homer, helped fuel a new explosion of art and literature. Writers like Dante, Shakespeare, and Milton all drew inspiration from his work. In more modern times, James Joyce's masterpiece, Ulysses, is a complex retelling of the Odyssey set in a single day in Dublin. Countless films, from O Brother, Where Art Thou, to Troy, have adapted these ancient tales for modern audiences. The characters and situations are so fundamental to the human experience that they continue to resonate. We all understand the destructive power of anger, like Achilles' rage. We all know what it feels like to long for home, like Odysseus. These epics explore timeless themes: war and peace, honor and shame, love and loss, fate and free will. They are foundational stories for Western civilization, and they offer a profound window into the minds of the ancient Greeks and into ourselves. Whether they were crafted by one blind poet or by a whole tradition of bards, the Iliad and the Odyssey are a testament to the enduring power of storytelling. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the world of Homer. If you enjoyed this exploration, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to History of the Ancient World for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our past. Let me know in the comments which ancient figure or civilization you'd like to see covered next. Thanks for watching.